Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about the second movie in what is known as the Bloodthirsty Trilogy. These three movies were directed by Michio Yamamoto. The first one was done in 1970. We talked about it here. The English title was The Vampire Doll, and every time I try to translate the Japanese, it comes up different, but it's probably known as the Bloodthirsty Doll. It also might be known as Haunted House of Horror Bloodthirsty Doll. I think a year ago when I put it on this channel, I think the translate was calling it House of Haunted Horror Blood-Sucking Doll. Either way, that was a pretty good one that we talked about. And then a year later came the second one, which could be called House of Curses Bloodthirsty Eyes. Or maybe it's just the Bloodthirsty Eyes, or maybe it is Haunted House Bloodthirsty Eyes, or Cursed Mansion Bloodthirsty Eyes, something like that. In English-speaking areas, it was called Lake of Dracula, although it's not really supposed to be Dracula. It's a Japanese vampire. So Michio Yamamoto did these two, and then he did a third one. They're all done for Toho, which is the same company that released Godzilla. It's a major Japanese production distribution company. So, this movie was okay. I give this one a 6 out of 10. It's very generic story. Basically, a vampire shows up and starts biting people, and the main character is a woman, and her sister gets bitten, and she tries to save her sister, and her boyfriend helps her. Boyfriend's a doctor, and one of the bitten people shows up at the hospital, and at the end they confront the vampire and they defeat him, and that's the whole movie. It was pretty slow. The music is kind of cool. Visually, it looked nice. It's on a lake, so that's pretty. There's another part where they're kind of on the coast. It looks like the ocean. There's some rock formations. It looks all right. It looks good. I liked Vampire Doll or Bloodthirsty Doll better. There's a little bit more of a climax in that one. In this one, the vampire ends up falling. Falls like off of like a balcony, like when you go upstairs and there's kind of like a balcony upstairs, like falls off, and as he falls off, a piece of the wood from the like railing like sticks in his heart or stomach or something like that, and he ends up dying. I don't know, it wasn't that great really. The acting seemed good, but just nothing really happens. I think like one or two people get bitten on screen. The coolest part was actually the vampire's father, who was not a vampire, wrote in these memoirs that his grandfather was a vampire. And then it skipped 2 generations. And so then like his great grandson ended up being a vampire, which it's kind of interesting with all these vampire movies, which this is the 9th vampire movie of 1971 so far that we've talked about out of like 19 movies. It's almost half. This is the first one to say that it's like genetic, like vampirism is genetic, so like that's kind of cool. Also, when he like he's dead, and then when he gets moved, this is by far the coolest part of the movie. Like, his fingertips are like stuck to the table, and when he gets moved, like his fingers like stay on the table and the rest of his hand like peels away from his fingers. I don't know, that looked cool. I wish they had more stuff like that. The vampire's death at the end was like okay, but like they don't even really fight him. It just falls off the staircase. I don't know, not that great. I'll give it a 6 out of 10 because it's like pretty well done, and I don't know if I read this right, but these 3 vampire films might have been like the 3 vampire films like of the 70s as far as Japan goes. I was looking into older Japanese horror, and there's a lot of ghost stuff. There were some Invisible Man movies. In fact, Michio Yamamoto made an Invisible Man movie between these two, although it is like totally unavailable as far as I can tell. You can't really find it. He made 7 movies total, but 4 of them are totally unavailable to watch. So only the trilogy remains. The 3rd movie in the trilogy doesn't come out until 1974, so we're gonna have to wait 3 years to talk about that one. All right. Oh yeah. So there's a lot of Japanese ghost films, and also a lot of Japanese ghost cat films, which I haven't watched any of yet. But that seemed to be a thing in the 40s and the 50s. Ghost cat films. So maybe I'll look into those. All right, that's it for this one. We don't have too much to say, so we'll see you next time.